Hello and welcome back to the jungle for this week's edition of Who Wants to Be a Gorilla on Air. My name is Phil Prenter, former Gorilla left back stalwart before Dermy lost a bit of timber and sent me for an early retirement to New Zealand. Affectionately known as Phil the Printer, I played for the club for 4 seasons, amassing countless trophies, sore heads and multiple Most Punctual Player of the Year awards along the way. Not so affectionately known as El Trej for my ability to go full Liam Neeson and hunt players down for Reggio in my former role as club treasurer. I'm left wondering, is Naz hoping that this podcast deflects on the fact he's yet to pay any fees since joining the club? Nevertheless, show the boys your support with a like, then kick back, relax and enjoy listening to this week's show.
Welcome to another episode of Who Wants to Be a Gorilla on Air with our host Rupdog and our co-host Naz and the shithouse Jimmy.
Hello.
Here he is.
And you are
Tucky. What a man.
How serious is he trying to be there, by the way?
Mate, I literally had to big myself up for that. I was struggling.
As you would have noticed, there's only 4 of us this week. There's no special guest. We're down to the core 4. And the question is, can we do it on a cold night in Tucky's basement with just the core 4 without a special guest?
Well, it's 3.5, really.
Well, this is the first thing. Tucky has had a bit of a long day. Missed training, which we're going to come on to now. Tucky, talk us through your day.
Well, it's been a bit of a long day. Been out with a client, drinking since 12:30. So
just straight in.
Yeah, I don't really know how I'm here, to be honest, and it's going to be a bit of a slog. And I apologise for anyone listening, but you know, it is what it is. I apologise.
Yeah, advance apologies for any racial slurs or
Free Palestine.
Political views.
Yeah, political views,
bigotry.
We'll just cover that now. That's the disclaimer. But first of all, big thanks to our listeners. We hit a target. Well, we hit a total of 750 downloads, which for a new podcast we're very happy with. And thanks for those who've left us a review. Go on to Apple Podcasts if you enjoy this. And if you're not sure who we are and you're listening to this and thinking, what are they talking about? Well, you're right. You should be ashamed. What are you listening to? This is absolute nonsense. But we keep going.
Also, there's not a better podcast from a sports perspective in Australia. It's like in Australia, so. Come on, like what is there to listen to from a sports perspective? Yeah. Rugby league, AFL, fuck off. Let's listen to Who Wants to Be a Gorilla on Air.
Yeah, get on this real professional situation that's going on here. Yeah,
we've got everything, haven't we?
Yeah,
Have you seen our studio?
In the Alex Ferguson again. Fantastic beer mats.
We cover all bases.
Beers.
We cover all bases. We cover literature with Jimmy. We cover politics. We cover sport. I mean, just as well.
The only thing I would say is that I think we might have to get. So there's about probably 40 shirts in this garage, and the one shirt that is right in front of us is Brian Giggs.
Yeah,
I feel like that might have to be removed pretty quickly.
Amazing player. I'm a United fan.
One of my favourite players of all time, but probably should not be.
Picking him up at the moment.
Yeah, United have got a bit of a rough time.
Few recently. Things going on at the moment. Giggs beating his girlfriends, and then we've got the Glaziers.
You also beat records though, and that's what's important.
We absolutely
we do not condone anyone listening.
Any domestic violence.
Remember, Tucky is intoxicated.
You're worried about Giggs' top on the wall, right? I think we've got bigger problems than something that the listeners can't see than Giggs' top on the wall.
We're trying to establish ourselves as a proper podcast here.
Serious outfit.
Serious outfit. We're in the charts. We're taking on the big names, and Tucky's coming in here with his
intoxicated attitude.
Yeah, his poor attitude. He's not at training, and he comes on the pod and he ruins this as well.
It's like I imagine like when bands were starting out, like big bands, and one of them's just a loose cannon. They have to get rid like early on and make a decision.
If we were band,
one more try.
Only one of you thinks that's a massive compliment.
Yeah, no,
at the end of the day, like that's the person who's the absolute boss of the band. Like,
well, what band are we? If we're going down that route,
we was a band.
Well, we have to have someone.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, go on. Go on.
Address the elephant in the room.
Oh yeah, nice. Covered all bases there.
Boys to men.
As long as everyone's playing cushy.
JLS.
Couldn't do JLS.
No, JLS were alright though, weren't they?
Could do
back in the day.
Could do blue because I've only got one black lad in there.
Oh mate, he smashed it. He's absolutely smashed it. To be fair,
I'll be Simon Webb.
You're Simon Webb.
Simon Webb.
What does that make me though?
Got a body like Simon Webb.
Don't know, who are the other ones?
Who would you be? You'd be the shit one that no one listens to. Anthony Costa. You would be Anthony Costa.
Mate, Costa's a bit of a boy.
Mate, he's the worst one.
Does that make Rupdog Duncan?
Get in. With the eyebrows.
Oh, that makes Jimmy Lee Ryan. Oh, shit.
I think he's got a bit of Lee Ryan about him.
Yeah, he's got a voice on him as well.
Did Duncan not come out gay recently?
And
We've not got that. That's episode 10.
And if he did, fair play.
Again, not a problem on this podcast. If he has,
We're just discussing it.
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
Piece of news.
It's been a bit of an outrageous start, and I'm going to apologise. I think it's been massively influenced by me being on the piss since 12:30, and I'm, sorry.
We're only 10 minutes in, so you've got another 50 minutes.
6 minutes.
Oh, 6 minutes is it?
I've got the timer.
Fucking hell.
Yeah,
I'm just going to shut up.
No, you're not. No, you're not. It's the hardest thing to do when you're pissed. Yeah.
Well, perhaps you should shut up for a bit, because our plan this week was to actually we had a bit of a serious topic this week for once. This week is National Volunteer Week, which is something we take very seriously. As you know, our club and many other clubs are run purely by volunteers, people who give up their time on a weekly basis for no reward. They get people not turning up to training, they get attitude back, but what they do is they do it because they love the game and they love their club. Our club has got many volunteers, like Deck we brought in the week before, Brad who runs training, we've got ourselves in the committee, Tucky who runs the books, which does a bit of a suspect job on that. Fudges some numbers up.
There's a few mining stocks that I'm looking at that could put the club into all sorts of glory.
Well, go on then.
Not crypto after today.
No, not crypto. I'm not involved in crypto. Don't worry about that. Stocks.
Buy the dip.
Buy low, sell high, innit? That's the...
Yeah.
The thing is, if you actually put the club's worth on the stock market, it's a good idea, because
I don't buy crypto, but...
The thing is, though, like, we could literally grow if we did that. But anyway,
but we would
it's probably not a topic.
If it was all in there, we'd have nothing to run each week.
Yeah, pay the refs. We've got to pay the refs, lad.
If we invest, we could pay the refs. That's the point.
That's the mind of a shit house, basically. Yeah, but what about how many refs could we pay if we put all the money
in 2030? Yeah, 2030 we can have a linesman as well.
Imagine if we had like 200 grand in the bank from investing in stocks and crypto, and then we go to Robbie. Look, mate.
We'll just buy it. We'll just pay you off.
We'll throw you a couple hundred today. Just give us some good decisions.
I would have the thing is, I would have loved to have told Philly Prenter, who did the intro for the pod, who I think we can chat about in this section as well. I would love to have told him, Philly, what's happened is we've actually taken over the cash and we've put it all in an investment. I would have loved to have heard his reaction, because that man
Tucky's took everything and all your hard work and he's just banged it in ASX.
The books have been taken over by the most honest accountant of all time, by a cowboy, basically. But would you not rather have a cowboy that's going to potentially grow the club by 10, or just a safe bet? That's the question.
This man sounds like, them American like
the Glazers.
Yeah.
The Glazers.
Where they
compare me to the
Glazers. The pyramid schemes for
looks like
Herbalife,
sounds like
Herbalife and that. Like, if you buy 10 products now, imagine how much money you could make.
Pyramid scheme.
Yeah. Do you remember when I was on the loom? Do you remember when Robert was doing the loom? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, where you had to invite your mates and then they invite the mates. People made some serious cash from that.
It's also a pure scam.
No, they did not.
It's a scam.
I'm telling you, people made some big cash from that.
Yeah, like the first
idiots. Yeah,
the first 8 people in, and then everyone after that is in just pure debt.
I was always number 10. So
pyramid schemes.
No, I was always number 10, so I didn't make any cash, but I was close. I got so close.
I got seller of the week. I got seller of the week in a post on someone's Facebook.
I would have been in 12 looms at one point at the very bottom. But yeah, I mean, on a serious note, like Rupert said, mate, the people in this clown in front of us who's hammered does a lot for the club. Rup, Jimmy, I think Deck especially, obviously comes and does so much. So does Brad, but people in the past as well, like Jezza, who's now back in London, did so much in terms of schmoozing Esfa and making sure everything ran well. Prenter doing everything he did with the books and no one had to worry. I think the big thing that people, I think, probably understand but also maybe don't grasp it as much is that people come to training, play on a Saturday. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Pitches, refs, training, booking, everything, like organising stuff that like it must take up so much of people's day that it would give me a headache trying to figure it out. So fair play to everyone that did do it now and has done it in the past.
I've missed a lot of invoices, I'm not going to lie. It's not easy though, do you know what I mean? You're doing a day's
Not
work
when you're out of the
and
piss.
you're getting like chased by ESFA for like ref fees, and it's not your priority, do you know what I mean? It isn't. When you're at work, on a serious note, it's not your priority. And you know, there's so many people that do work, like do so many jobs across the club, whether it's a chairman, whether it's a treasurer. It's not easy, and it's people that don't have that actual job. They have other jobs in the week, and they do their best. And the whole of ESFA is run by that, pretty much.
Beautiful words.
Yeah, man.
I'm actually feeling, I'm choking up.
I think the thing is, I think he's got to the drunk stage where it's like,
End of the
you know
night.
what? I love you, man. Like, I love you, man.
Maybe I'll just get absolutely hammered before a podcast every week.
Well, on the point of Tucky, like you said, it's not your job. This club, I think it's fair to say, has been on the edge of it's on the edge of collapse.
Yeah.
Extinction.
At the moment, we're in a very good spot. We've got a world-class podcast. We've got a great committee.
And a great commercial director.
And a great commercial director. I just want to give a shout out to a player who we've mentioned a few times before, John O'Cooper, who has played a huge part in the club. And I remember before Christmas, he got everyone in to a meeting to say, lads, look, let's sort this out. Let's put a plan in place. And again, it's people like that who make clubs work. Without people like that, it just would not happen.
Thing is, at the start of the season,
Big job.
we turn up, and you know, no one knows where the club's going. And Jono hosts us in his office building in Sydney, and he's got a full agenda set up. He's got minutes, and we all
Full
turn up.
PowerPoint.
At the end of the day, like, this season was massive because it was the first season where so many people got involved.
Yeah, but it's getting the investment. Like, that's what Jono's meeting did so much to get buy-in for the club. Like, just for people like me, that I was like, all right, played a couple of years. He wants to get there. He got all the boys together, give them something to go at, make a separate group, and the people that were just firing off, like you two, obviously, to the pubs, got the sponsor, the Rocks. They've been class.
Big Reese,
sending checks out,
doing the sausage sizzle, like, which
the
is
sausage
massive.
sizzle.
I mean, I think like when the season before as well, like going back to the boys that used to be in the club, like Jezza, Philly, like Gav O'Shea, like especially when I joined initially as well, like I didn't even have a clue about what it involved running the club, right? I was nowhere near like trying to get involved in not running it but being senior player, stuff like that, right? And then like loads of them left, obviously, and then you're sitting there thinking like, fuck, who's gonna actually take all this shit over, because those boys did so much, right? And then you've got people stepping up as well, like Tucky, like Jono, right? Like, you don't know where it's gonna go, but you've got Deck, Jono, people stepping in, Byron stepping in.
Jono, you stepped down.
Like,
Has anyone seen Jono since Saturday? Anyway?
Jono, you stepped down, not stepped
at
up.
the beginning, he stepped. Yeah, at the minute he's taking a side step, but to do stuff like that, you don't know the direction the club's going. You don't know what's going on. But it's like, without those boys stepping in and taking over, right? Like for me, I'm like, I don't know who's going to take over these roles, but people step up, people volunteer, and the whole point of the podcast is like, without these boys, like, where's the club going? You know?
Yeah,
Basically, what Naz is saying is fuck Jono.
well, he's focusing on playing this year. He's taking a step back, as he mentioned. Yes, his playing time has been limited, but he's still coming from the right spot. And this is a public shout. If you're here and you want to volunteer for the Grillers, look, please get involved.
Yeah,
we want
definitely,
all the help
mate.
we can.
And if you've seen Jono, anyone, anywhere, please report back to Darcy, because he's been lost for a few days.
I think he was last seen in Rose Bay, was it?
Yeah, I think Rose Bay at
Around
the
there.
what was Reese's boss's mansion, was it? With his top off.
And he's not been seen since.
Has not been seen since.
Jesus.
Description for those who don't know: large.
Yeah, if you see like a Johnny Bravo looking guy
For
walking
any-
around
yeah.
Rose Bay, a bit bewildered, Then just
For
he's
anyone
very
who's-
friendly.
For anyone who's or read of Mice and Men, it's Lenny.
It's Lenny.
Basically, anyone
Lenny.
who's going to injure a small
Well, a
animal.
cat. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Nike.
Oh, bless him. Well, I think actually, I don't know if I should mention this, but Nike passed away, which is very sad for the club.
What? Who's Nike? Is that his cat?
That's Jono's cat, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
John's
He's
cat.
no.
unfortunately passed, yeah.
How long's he had Nike for?
It's called Nike.
Yeah. Well, he only had Nike for a year. They fostered it.
Oh
give it
no,
a
I remember
whole-
it had one eye in that.
Yeah.
What was it
Oh,
called
yeah.
Nike out of interest?
I think because Jono used to connect with his new Nike trainers and boot him around the house. I think that's where it's come from.
Did
I'm
the,
not sure.
did the cat used to roll around with Nike crepes or what?
And I don't know if Darcy, if you're listening, I apologise for bringing this up. But actually, so poor old Nike was cremated the other day, and his ashes were brought back.
This is what.
His ashes were brought back from the crematorium. Very sombre occasion. Dropped back to Jono's house. Unfortunately, Jono and Darcy weren't there, so the crematorium man decided to drop the ashes off at a nearby shop, an IGA. So Jono had to pick up the ashes from behind the counter.
This is
at
true.
an IGA.
This is true. This is
Is this
absolutely
actually
true.
true?
And then when Darcy went in to pick them up, because there was a bouquet of flowers
She
as
picked
well.
up a 6-pack as well.
No, so there's a bouquet of flowers in a tin pot with the ashes in. The guy behind the counter obviously think, "Oh, are you celebrating?" And then she had to pick them
The
up.
thing is though, like, you know, we shouldn't really be laughing. It's like, so let's have a drink to Nike.
Yeah, we pour a little liquor out.
Yeah, and if anyone is missing any cats, dogs at home, thoughts go to you. Thoughts and prayers go to you at this moment, this difficult time.
Yeah, no, look, in fairness, yeah, absolutely. To Nike.
To Nike dog.
Cat. Nike cat.
Right,
Nike cat, sorry, yeah.
let's get back to our main theme of the pod this week. Volunteer week. On the weekend, we played Ramwick, again, another club who are run by volunteers. And during the game, or straight after the game, Naz had a quick chat with their chairman. Naz, do you give us a bit of background on who that was and what you had a chat about?
Yeah, well.
Tell him where he was hiding. Tell him where he was hiding. and why.
Where were you hiding at
I
that
don't know what you're
point?
talking about. What
He was in the change room and he
What you on about?
somehow managed to bump into the chairman
wasn't
of
hiding
Ramwick.
anyway.
He's been gone for the whole of the first
I'm
half.
sorry, Naz.
I'm
You
a
go.
club man. I'm a podcast man.
Naz,
I'm a
you
club
go,
man, that's what I
sorry.
was doing. What happened was, after I've played, I've got a bit peckish, haven't I? Because I like sausage sizzles. So I went to get a sausage sizzle. Bloke behind the counter. I mean, you'll hear in the interview. Just started chatting. Lovely guy, and then I find out he's not only the guy in the canteen, but he's the guy who is doing the kits. He's the guy who's running the club, the president,
Runs a thing.
runs everything.
A quick shout out to the canteen they run, by the way. So Ramwick have a team, a special needs team called Purple Hearts, and a few of their members help run the canteen. Which, again,
That's class.
a lovely sentiment. and
How
something.
good is that?
Yeah,
How
fantastic.
good is that? That's unbelievable.
I think in terms of like the whole conversation we're having today, we're joking around and laughing and that, but again, like we take the piss out of all the other teams, but stuff like that, again, we wouldn't be the club that we are without them, and they wouldn't, I feel like, be the club without us. And you know, credit where it's due. We might take the piss out of Coogee, Randwick, whatever on a Saturday and try and make jokes, but that's what we're all in it for. Stuff like that is amazing.
100%. And a lot of these teams have not just men's teams like us, but they have kids teams. They've got women's teams. They've got over 35s. I used to run a kids team back in the day.
Of course you did.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, minis, under 12s.
This team in Jersey, any good players or what's the crack? Like.
It was more of a daycare service. Not gonna lie,
Okay.
they weren't great, but they had enthusiasm, and I rate that.
So they were shite.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, look, you must be the best thing to come out of Jersey footballing wise for a long time.
He played for the national team.
Did you actually?
yeah. Little known fact: I'm a full international player.
Did you actually play for the national team?
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah. I mean,
Against who?
Against Guernsey.
What a grudge match that would have been, by the
I
way.
played against Greenland once.
Did you get everywhere on boats and that? Did you get everywhere on boats and that?
Greenland? Fucking hell, it's a ship. No, you don't just go on a little tiny boat to Greenland, Naz.
Little dinghy.
Have you seen Greenland?
Like, so like, there's so much money in Jersey and Guernsey, right? So where I'm from, Basingstoke, obviously.
Obviously.
The listeners know that. They know that.
They can tell by that.
B-A-S-A. Oh, fuck me. Basically, when Jersey and Guernsey got involved in the league, like, this is rugby, not football. They got involved in the rugby, and basically Jersey and Guernsey had to pay for every single player who was playing in that league. So when they got promoted to that league, they had to pay for every single player to their flights there and back just to play in Jersey, in Jersey or Guernsey.
Greys and stuff from Essex go over, don't they?
There's so much money there that they, just to be in that league, they had to pay for players just to come there and back from wherever it is, or Jersey or Guernsey. Rupert might be able to tell us a little bit more.
Thanks for mansplaining something I should know more about. But yeah, you've absolutely nailed it. I've got nothing else to add. They had to pay for, and they still do it. They're still in the leagues. They still pay for teams to come over, which is I don't know how long is this going to go on for. But
I literally used to know lads that played for Basingstoke Rugby Club that got flights paid for to go to Jersey to play rugby. Like there and back. That's actually crazy.
Not just there.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, true.
Once you're there, you're
stuck.
Swim.
I mean, that would be a proper mug up, wouldn't it?
Proper local town. What I will say is, this literally goes against everything this podcast is about
rugby.
Being volunteer week, no money in it, community involved, and we're talking about Jersey and Guernsey minted. Doesn't matter who you are, they fly in, fly out, 5-star hotel, a little bit of cash.
Money talks, baby.
But good to know that you did run a team. That's class. I think we've all played at different levels at home, and like for me, like growing up playing.
For United?
Playing for United, yeah. No, I didn't play for United. But playing for Wallsend, which is a boys' club, but it was like really top level boys' club, like Shearer, Carrick, all that come from. But when I was playing for them, no cash. Like our changing room was like, you know, like builders on construction sites, and you just put down them like movable offices, and that was our changing room. There was like a slit in the side of the window with like a metal grate, so turning up on like a
That's
Sunday.
That's what it's all about, though.
Wait, were you playing for a prison team?
It felt like imagine turning up there at like 9 a.m. on a Sunday,
So
and it's like
cold.
and it's in Newcastle as well, so it's like -3, and the ground's rock hard, and you're just in there in this like cabin, and like you're meant to be like
it literally sounds like Meme Machine, doesn't it? Like,
yeah.
he's describing Meme Machine.
It's class though, like that's exactly what it's all about, you know.
Talking about how cold, how soft people are now, and I include myself in this. In Sydney, it gets to like 12, and people are like, "Oh, it's so cold."
Yeah, no.
It's not that cold.
Well, if it rains on a Friday, it's curtains, isn't it? Just
to be fair, those 2
days
stories you've just heard are hilarious compared to like Naz and Rupert, compared to the Geordie and the Jersey man. Like, it could not be any different, could it? A lad getting paid to play children's football from dirty tax money to a guy who's just like trying his hardest on rock hard surfaces, trying his best but doesn't succeed.
Playing like a team like Walker Central, which is just a team that 2-foots you every game, and obviously we're winning the league, so you know they're just here to 2-foot you in -3 on a Sunday, and you're 15 and you've just started drinking and that, so like you're real hungover because you've had like 4 beers and you're just like, what the
thing is, Rupdog's fine with that because he'll be insured.
Yeah, I'm certain.
For millions.
I've borrowed insurance.
That right
to
foot is
point.
insured.
I've borrowed insurance at that point. But the point that I'm making is that club as well, like the boys' club, we've all played at different levels, all played for different clubs, but that boys' club again was ran by volunteers, like ran by people. I don't think you see it as much here, because I feel like footy obviously isn't the first sport. I think if you went to like rugby league and stuff, you'd see it a lot more, but in England I think some of them clubs have got boys that are like in the 60s and 70s, and they're going and opening the gates and letting boys in the club and opening the cabins and putting the nets up, and they've been doing it for years and years because they love the club. Do you know what I mean? Like 50 years, 60 years. Whereas here they're doing it a little bit, but not as much.
But
as what they
do it
back
for
home.
the other sports that are more
Yeah,
established.
exactly, yeah.
Maybe it'll get to like that over here. I'm sure it will, because soccer's.
Soccer.
Oh my goodness!
my dear
He's
Lord.
absolutely going.
Wow. Can we
Soccer.
please clip this?
He's absolutely
Mate, we need to clip this.
his face.
Oh, mate.
He just looked like he kicked a dog there.
Oh, no.
Yes, football.
So all of Jimmy's mates back in Manchester, we're going to clip this. That is horrendous. He's just called football soccer. And
That's
it's
one
the
of the worst
worst
thing
thing you
you've
can
ever
do.
done.
It's the worst thing you can do.
It's one of the worst
That'll be
things you've
straight
ever
in
done.
the groups. That.
Oh no.
That's a soundbite.
I forget
But
that.
you were saying,
Forget that
but you were
story.
saying soccer.
Forgot what I was saying. Nah, in a few years it'll be like that, I reckon, because football's on the up, innit, over here.
He's going to say football loads now.
No,
football,
but there is.
football,
You go
football.
to the parks. There's loads of kids
Yeah, yeah.
playing football. I don't just go watching the kids at the parks, but I mean,
Fastest growing sport in Australia.
yeah.
Fact.
Jimmy's had a
around the
shock
world.
in 5 minutes.
I
He's
think-
talking about kids in the park. He's talking about soccer. It's not good.
Yeah, mate, what's happening? And he's,
It really isn't
and he's
good.
dressed all black, everything, by the way, like he's about to go on a
He looks-
burglary.
He looks like Richard Hillman before he was about to murder Maxine. He's in all sorts of bother.
Stillman's a legend.
But I think, Jimmy, you've got a big point, and I think that's to do with, like, you've seen it in other countries as well, like when they get into the World Cup, or they have there's some sort of development around it because of the World Cup, and then like 10 years time you start seeing the benefits of it, like in the US or Germany and stuff. Right
Like,
here you can
like
see
Scotland.
yeah.
What island are they in the Euros?
No,
I can't
Scotland
remember.
are in it, aren't they? But World
Wales
Cup
are in
now.
it as well.
Wales
are in
Wales
it.
Oh,
are
they're
Wales.
just letting
Wales
anyone
are
in
a
this
big.
year,
just
though.
not
Wales
the-
are a big
not the
national team,
Irish.
aren't they?
I'm just letting anyone in this here.
Just not
You'd
the
think
Irish.
though, Ireland would get to the qualify, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but anyone who's good who's Irish, like Jack Grealish. No, not Jack Grealish. Declan Rice. Sorry.
But he's not though, is he? He's
Yeah,
not
he
Irish.
played for Ireland.
Yeah,
boys, didn't he?
because he thought at the one point he weren't going to get to England level, and so he's like, oh yeah, my nan's nan
Is Irish.
So yeah, but
They come to sense eventually. Yeah.
yeah. But as I was saying, you would think Ireland would do well with all the players that come out of Ireland. Like over here, it's like the football mad, aren't they? In Ireland, Scotland not so much, but Scotland have qualified for the Euros. So
I mean, to be fair, for the Scottish and Irish, how many players do you play against in our league who are Scottish and Irish and you think are shit? Not many.
No.
There's not many. Like, on a serious note, they're so committed and they'll go through you.
Fight, yeah, and I think
They'll go through you.
we'll come on to
you're up
that.
for a battle. Do you know
That's
what I
what I
mean?
We'll come on
It's
to that in
physical, innit?
the preview of next week. But I think, yeah, definitely for me, turning up and then like first joining, like, 'cause, you know, I think the league that I played for before in Sydney was shocking. But you turn up, play for Esfa, and you look around and you think you were a decent standard back home, but then you look around and you see where the boys have come from like Ireland, other parts of England, Scotland, and that, and you're like, gee, fucking hell! Like, if that's the standard in there, like that's what's going on. Imagine what it must have been like playing in their leagues as well.
Sweet.
keep that in.
Right, well, before we finish this first half, let's hear from the Ramwick chairman. I've tried to link to this many times, but keep getting pulled back. Naz, let's hear your interview with... Who did you speak to?
I've forgotten his name.
Brilliant.
Richard
Jeff.
Baldwin.
Richard Baldwin. Shout out to Richard Baldwin.
Richard Baldwin, big shout out.
Who is an Aussie, and you might not have heard many Aussie voices, but they are around in our league. And here's a rare Australian voice from Mr. Richard Baldwin. Take it away.
We were just chatting a bit before about the fact that there's no money involved in the clubs, and you know it really does rely on people like yourself, Richard. Like you're running the tuck shop, the canteen, and you're here just giving up your Saturday, loving the boys, and how much it
Marked the fields on
he marked the
fields on Thursday.
he marked the fields on Thursday. I imagine you do a lot more than that, but I'd love to just find out like the importance of people like yourself, volunteers, and how much it means to this league. You know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not the only person giving up time in the ESPA. But, you multiply me by, there must be 20 other club presidents, 20 secretaries, 20 treasurers, directors. It's mind-bending the amount of volunteer time that keeps the show on the road. But, you know, I do it because I love it. I love the people in my club. And it's a wonderful way to spend a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, what is the reason that you do it, you know? Because you don't have to do it. You don't have to get up and spend your time here. So what do you reckon the reason is that brings you back? And
the reason is the people. It's the people, and I firmly believe our club is about making a difference in people's lives. Like within, we increase their social circle. We make, they get physically fitter. They have, we actually create better citizens via football. The football is just something to do, is a metaphor for it, is the way I see it.
I think that's an amazing point, to be honest, something that we try and touch upon in the podcast as well. But I think I think something that's also really important, I think, is the social side of things and being able to have that outlet. So you've obviously seen probably a lot of people come and go in the last 11 years that you've been here. So how important is that as well,
Well, when we started the club, honestly, we had no idea what we were doing. We had an idea for a club, but we didn't know what we were doing. What I hadn't realised was how important the game was to people, and particularly for people from overseas who have no social network, have no family connections in Australia. So, and the football is their family. And we actually pride ourselves on being a family club. We now have people who've been with the club since day one, and they're still playing. They're now playing over 35s. They were like our young guns back in 2011. They're now playing over 35s, and it's hopefully it's just a continuum.
Yeah, mate, I really appreciate your time. I'm just speaking to Richard Baldwin, as I said, club president of Randwick. The club doesn't run, the league doesn't run without people like himself. So, mate, you're a credit to all of us boys on the pitch. I think I speak on behalf of everyone that's playing there to say thank you very much for all the work you do, mate.
And thank you to your club too, because without opposition, we don't have a game. And we've always had a good rapport with the Gorillas.
Thanks so much for your time, Richard. Much appreciated, mate.
Nice to meet you, Naz.
Well, that was Rich Baldwin there, the Randwick chairman. Great to hear him, and great to hear from someone not from our club for a change, to hear about the fact that they've got very similar issues to us. Naz, lovely interview. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, mate, like I said, I didn't realise it was going to happen.
I didn't know who you were.
It was just on the spot.
He was hiding out because...
Who are you?
Don't worry about that. I went to get a sausage sizzle because I was hungry, because I'd played more than 20 minutes. And
what's your name again?
You'd have to. But yeah, it just came about, and when he said that, I was like, that's exactly what, mate, like that couldn't be more encompassing of what we do it for, what we do Glebe Gorillas for, what we do the podcast for, what this week's about. Mate, it's like wrapped up in his interview there, talking about like the community spirit, boys come with no mates, and now they're like got a link for life. And
yeah, great to hear from him. And actually, we'll be hearing from more volunteers. We'll be hearing from Steve Lawrence from Pagewood Botany in part 2, and we'll be previewing next week's games. But now, as it's half time, it is time for Jimmy's halftime poem. Jimmy,
get in.
Who's it about this week?
Well, this week I couldn't make my mind up, so I've gone for a bit of a mashup. We'll say. But there's one main topic, Naz, you've not escaped. So, here we go again. Oh look, it's poem 4. We'll start with poor Naz hitting the floor. Until Italy, everything was fine. His girlfriend's nonna loaded him with pasta and wine. Threw on goal like a young Balotelli. He tripped and fell over his belly. Moving on though, there's a lot to get through. Reece got lobbed and he's 10'2". 2 man on the match for Tory Tuck. This screams one thing. Holy fuck. Rubes is here laughing, but let's do him too. His beak was offside, but we got the win. Get it up, yeah.
Again, just brilliant.
It's not just the humour, it's like the rhyming couplets.
Yeah, the depth. I said this last week.
The rhyming schemes have got to be on point. I've been watching my YouTube videos, you know what I mean?
And the thing is as well, up until about 4 o'clock today, 5 o'clock today, Jimmy was like, fuck the poem, I've got to do the poem. So he's done that in like 2 hours.
Literally.
Knocked one up.
Literally, I'm getting quite good at it. It's pretty easy. It's only
I mean, you say
rhyme.
that. I
10 minutes.
I could not knock that out. There's
that
no
You could.
way.
If you had a few people, you could.
Benjamin Zephaniah.
It's one rhyme about everyone.
Jimmy, I've got one for you. You know Richard Baldwin, the old patriot lad?
Yeah.
Fun fact. He's actually related to Mike Baldwin.
Oh, yeah.
He owned the fucking knicker factory in Coronation Street.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember him?
Yeah, Mike Baldwin's a fucking big
he's
lad round
bit of a
Corrie.
nutter as well, wasn't he?
Mike Baldwin was a legend.
Sorry, I've
Still
gone
around.
a little bit off piece there. I
Which one's
apologise. But it's a
which
fun
one's
fact.
Mike Baldwin? Sorry.
Mike Baldwin, the one who owned the knicker factory in
Oh,
Corrie.
yeah. He's a bit of a geezer, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he's a proper geese.
Yeah.
Mike Baldwin, he was married to Carla.
Mate, Ken Barlow had some beef with it.
Ken
I think
Ken Barlow, the shagger.
Mate, Ken Barlow.
Ken Barlow is a
serial
shagger.
shagger.
On Corrie as well, they
Serial
just make a shagger out of him.
That wavy blonde hair that
Hey,
he
you
had.
can see he'll do damage now.
Mate,
Never mind.
100%.
Viva Ken Barlow was the song.
100%.
People
Who was
sing
he
at
seeing,
United,
Deirdre?
Viva Ken Barlow.
Was he seeing Deirdre?
Oh,
was
he's
it-
seen
what
them
was
all.
She was punching,
Jimmy,
by the way.
Jimmy, out of interest,
Deirdre, Audrey, everyone.
What was the
punching.
what was the Ken Barlow song?
Viva Ken Barlow.
Give us-
Viva Ken Barlow. I can't remember the rest. Probably something like
He'll shag your wife.
And
He'll
your
shag
kids.
your bird. Behind your kid.
Coronation Street.
And that's it for part 1. Join us in part 2. Welcome back to another edition of Guerrilla News Weekly with me, your host Rupert Murray, and Naz Hack. Our top news tonight. Jamie Tompkins has spent 6 figures on any kind of technology to get rid of his murky past from Google searches. Unfortunately, Google have responded to say that their software, DeepMind, is not capable of the task.
Steve Lynch, first year Gorilla, has begun an S for Book Club with all players welcome. This week's book, The 5am Club.
Police have tracked a large, unusually shaped-headed man wandering around the eastern suburbs since Sunday morning. He keeps shouting, "I've lost my keys. Please approach with caution."
And in entertainment news, DJ Lux has been given a 5-star review from the Saturday Crowd for sitting down and letting Elliot take over.
That's it for Guerrilla News Weekly. Welcome back to part 2 of Who Wants to Be a Gorilla on Air. Last week, the first team in the reserves played Ramwick at Chifley Park. The reserves came away with a 0-0 draw. Naz, you played that game. So your thoughts, as you didn't get Brad's interview this week, you're taking the role of manager. First of all, what's your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, not much happened, mate. Good point. Let's move on. First team game.
No.
Oh, is that it? Yeah.
Come on.
No.
By the way, just quickly, so the first time that Naz does not get an interview is the time where he misses the biggest open goal or the easiest opportunity of anyone could have as a striker.
Well,
No.
to give some context around the game, Ramwick went down to 10 men after half an hour, 30 minutes.
It weren't a red card either, was it?
Nah, I
I think it was.
Nah,
I mean, look,
no
he's
way.
flew in and you'd
No
be
way.
gutted if you got a red card.
It's not a straight red. I reckon he must have been getting assessed, I reckon.
Yeah.
Straight red. It's not at that point.
You'd
in
be
the game.
gutted if you got sent off for
First tackle, it's not a red.
that. Yeah.
But despite that, the Rezzies didn't manage to score. Didn't manage to put it away.
Yeah.
What do you put it down to? Were the forwards to blame?
I
Poor
think
finishing?
I think for sure. I think we had a lot
And you
of
were playing up
chances. No, well, look, I was starting out on the wing, and then we've gone to 3 at the back, 2
Yeah.
up top, gone to 3-5-2. With them getting a man sent off, it is almost more difficult because it put all the players behind the ball. And
Yeah. No,
it
that's
doesn't
fine.
matter-
I do-
it
no, I
doesn't
do
matter-
agree with
It doesn't
you.
matter what I say
do
because you're
agree.
waiting to get at me
Yeah,
here.
When me and Tucky
Fuck
are just
the
waiting.
bollocks. Fuck the bollocks.
Listen,
Talk us through
about
your
the
miss.
game-
Talk
about
us
the
through your
game
miss.
first of all.
Yeah, go for
About
the
the game first of all, it's difficult. They put 10 men behind the ball. We're trying to play through balls. We're trying to play in a certain way, but it's like it's almost more difficult. You know how it is when a team goes out in 10 men, right? It's difficult to break them down. I get a chance.
A chance.
It's a beautiful first touch, by the way, to put it into my path.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
wow.
it was an easy touch. Honestly,
Are you joking? It was behind us. I've done a little back.
This is hard to listen to. It really is.
I'll put 10
So look,
yards.
no, you carry on. You carry on.
What's happened is it's one of them where you've got too much time in front of goal and you don't know what to do. And I don't.
Score.
You're all saying
obvious.
that you didn't hear it, and you didn't see it. But I've been clipped.
You've
the
not
back
been clipped.
heel's been clipped.
You've not been clipped.
100% been clipped.
No one. You didn't even appeal for it until after the game.
A few.
Oh, I know you've not been clipped.
I was appealing for it, and also a couple of them boys at Randwick have actually listened to the podcast as well. They were telling me in the game, if that centre back's listening, do the right thing, mate.
Right,
Email us.
Hold on, wait.
and tell everyone,
Let's
do the
circle
right
back.
thing.
So you got clipped, and then what happened?
So while I've shot, he's clipped us, and then it's.
How far out of goal were you?
To the
It's
nearest
a-
inch.
It's
It's six.
You were
I was
literally 3 yards outside the goal.
no,
I'd
I was
say
pen
6,
spot.
Nowhere.
So talk,
Close to the
okay,
pen spot.
right.
Close
So
to-
so
close to the pen.
talk us through what happened from the minute you got clipped.
Well, as I'm taking the shot, I've been clipped. As I mentioned, I don't know if I've mentioned it or not, but as I've taken the shot, I've been clipped, and that's unfortunately taken momentum with the shot that I was about to take, and the ball has gone, unfortunately, away from the goal.
So over the bar, and like in your defence, basically what happened was.
He's bottled it and fallen over in goal. He's had a bit of time to think about it, but
The thing is though,
he's
like
got
Naz,
the whole goal each side to aim for.
as
and
much
he's
as you can
fallen over.
blame Naz, there was so many opportunities that we had. Like I've never played in a game where I've seen so many clear cut chances. Like it was ridiculous.
Jamie
Then-
Morris had a fucking one-on-one that he could have side-footed each way as
Thank
well.
you very much.
But then Naz,
Give you that.
who got voted man of the match? Let's ask that question.
I've already touched on that in the poem.
Here we go. Well done, Tucky.
Every week, I never vote Tucky man of the match. Some weeks I vote him dick of the day, even when people are voting him man of the match.
To be fair, he was man of the match.
Mm.
He was.
Was he?
Yeah,
Could have
very
lost.
Clearly, man of
Was
man
he?
of the match.
Well,
Who the fuck was?
I mean, facts say that I got man of the match based on votes, but you know, is what it is, mate. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
when you
We
throw your
lost.
weight around in that, people like there's a lot of new boys in the club, right?
Look at him trying to
There's a lot of
backtrack it.
listen. There's a lot of new boys in the club, and you've got the tendency to obviously want to impress and stuff. And Tucky's like a senior player, so it's like, oh, I might as well vote for Tucky. I've been around the block, lad. I've been to these things. I know how
I
it works.
bailed you
You're
out.
not getting me vote. You're not getting me vote.
I
Do you know what I
bailed
mean?
you
Like,
out massively. If it wasn't for me, you've been on the back end of a fucking defeat. Like you would have had your head in your hands and you've been going back to fucking. Oh god, I don't know. What
Oh, here
Where?
we go.
Going where? Going where?
Newcastle.
Yeah,
I don't know how far you're going with that.
I was gonna say. Newcastle.
Going
I was
where?
gonna say
Italy.
Newcastle.
Going where?
Italy,
Tuck?
Italy.
Italy? Are we
Italy.
going further east?
That pause
What
was
you
horrendous.
thinking? What
That
you
pause
thinking?
was so bad.
That
but I didn't.
No, I didn't mean that.
That pause was like deafening.
Mate, I
that
was
said
try- I was-
so many words.
Mate, in my defence, I was trying to work out whether it was third team.
Or Bangladesh.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, not fair. That's why he doesn't get my vote.
Which is a fair point.
Yeah, not fair. Look,
But
you know what?
you like, let's be honest. Like, it's nice to have Naz here. He's had an absolute minger, and obviously he's on the podcast, so he's going to get a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Jimmy was there watching. Rupert was there watching. He was there 3 yards out, and he's blazed it.
Yeah, what's happened is I've missed a complete sitter. We've drew 0-0.
But
Another game that we should have won.
But in your defence, Jamie Morris and Toby have missed just as bad opportunities. But obviously, you're going to get the worst stick.
I appreciate the support because you're a big dirty racist. Carry on.
More
So that was the reserves.
that was the reserve.
Brilliant summary. And cheers, lads, for taking us through that in-depth analysis of that game.
That was Cara Neville stuff. That.
It's the 1 week he has not got an interview from Brad because he shat himself.
No, what's happened is the reason I haven't got the interview is Brad stayed behind chatting to people, and
Let's
also
hear the
You couldn't find him 10 yards down the line.
I couldn't find him. He was way up there, and also I'm managing on Saturday. Well, I'm helping manage on Saturday.
He's just trying to oust Brad, and I think it's disgusting.
It doesn't look great, does it?
It's disgusting.
It doesn't look great.
It's not my fault he wants to take trips away.
But
You know?
let's have a segue and move to the first team.
And for all those playing Gorilla, Who Wants to Be a Gorilla in a drinking game, Tucky said segue, so drink. First team, we won 4-3.
Sick.
It was a battle.
Yeah.
I watched it the whole game. Should have been out of sight. Controlled the game and let them. Well, Reece let them back into it.
Get Tuck in first team.
Reece has got lobbed. I don't know how. I've never seen someone so big get lobbed, and don't know what happened. And then there was a coming together of the two biggest men in ESFA, weren't there? The miscommunication. I think it's something to do with like if King Kong and Godzilla run at each other and they just try and talk, they're not going to be able to talk. There's no communication in the different languages. Some guys just nipped in, touched it past them, and they've gone together, Clash of the Titans style. The whole clouds have moved. Everyone's just thinking, what the fuck's going to happen here? Are we going to be able to carry on with the game? Reece has got a party tonight. Is it going to kill Ewan? Is Ewan going to kill Reece? Well, then it was fine, and then we conceded another.
I'd love to see that scrap, by the way, because they're both like really calm-natured, but I reckon get them in a ring. I mean, outside of footy, but you get them in a ring, couple of bevs, like that incident.
Reece, man.
I reckon Charity. You're back in Reece, are you?
Nah, I don't know.
It's goalkeeper. It's
the quiet ones you want to watch out for.
It depends how we're fighting. Are we going straight boxing?
We're going straight and bare knuckles,
rules.
no rules, street fighting.
So you can kick as well.
You can do whatever. You could bite, kick, whatever you want.
Reece, if Reece is able to throw Ewan, it's going to be a while between each round. Ewan is great with his feet. I reckon it'd be
kickboxing.
He'd just be nipping at your fucking feet like no one knows it, but he can go around people. He's fast. He's faster than he looks. So it's a tough one to call.
It's that weird style, innit? Like you don't know what kind of style he's going to bring. He's not like a traditional boxer. He's like bang, like weird. Yeah,
mate. It's like literally a normal human fighting a bear. There's no contest. There's absolutely no contest. Big Reece wins every day of the week.
Some say that is how he lost his hair in the first battle between Reece and Ewan.
He ripped his hair off?
Reece ripped his hair off, yeah.
Wow, and that's a massive...
Yeah, that's why they don't talk. That's why they don't talk anymore. That's why we conceded.
Sort of makes sense.
That's an exclusive live on Gorillas on Air.
It's the next one for Gorilla News.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the game... it was a great watch though, and I think it always happens with them on that pitch. It's always the same. They give us a
scrappy
game that would. It's just like it's so out of character. It's always doesn't matter what form's going in.
But we won.
To that pitch and you play.
But we won, and we'll touch on it. Rupert wants us to touch on it.
Yeah.
Who got the winner? Oh, your host with the mostest.
Let's hear it from you.
Off my shin. Lovely finish.
They all count. It was Chicharito style, to be fair. He was there and got the touch.
Should we talk about Bruce's goals, or have we not got time?
Oh, we've not got time.
No, not got time.
So
unfortunately, we've not got time. But we have got time for Dec's interview. And Naz, once again, was able to catch up with Dec at training tonight and to hear his thoughts. Naz, let's hear what he had to say about the game.
Action-packed game on Saturday. Came away with the result. Obviously, always tricky on that pitch. What's the thought?
Yeah, I mean it was definitely a great game for the neutral, for the spectator, but wasn't great to be involved in the game. But yeah, as you say, we came away with the result 4-3. 2-0 up after the first 15 minutes or so, completely dominating the game. And then they get one back, and then everybody, that's just the way it is in this league. They get a goal back, and your backs are against the wall, and So, but even at that, they put us under some pressure, and we got another goal. Bruce. Well, the first goal came from Bruce. It was a great finish. Second goal was Jimmy, back post header. Seems to be popping up a lot, our Jimmy. And then Bruce got the third. It was 3-1. Sort of comfortable. Ramwick still in the game slightly. Then we make a mistake at the back between Big Ewan and Reese. It's very out of character for both of them to, make defensive errors, which led to a goal, unfortunately. But, and then again, our backs against the wall, and they come back and got another one, made it 3-3 after what was, a comfortable lead. And then, it shows character the last few weeks, not playing overly well and then still managing to get the 3 points.
In terms of the league itself, the form, I think sitting second in the league, obviously chasing Coogee at the top. Form's good, players looking good, new formation, everything going well at the minute. Can't get complacent, but obviously got to be pretty happy with what's happening right now.
We're not too far behind Coogee. It's going to be a long season. We've still got over half of the season to play yet. Starting with, again, Phoenix on Saturday, which is always a hard fixture. They're a very physical team. I wouldn't say their quality is as good as ours, but they've got heart to fight for each other, and in this league that gets you far. But I think this weekend we've got enough to see it over the line and get the 3 points.
Cheers, Deck.
Cheers, mate.
So that was Deck with his thoughts on the weekend's game. Another good win for the first team, which puts us in second place, 4 wins on the bounce. And this week we play Phoenix, a team who always are a tough battle. They are essentially an Irish team, which
Scumbags.
Yeah, absolute scumbags.
We respect all teams in
Thing is,
Esper.
I agree with Jimmy. Scumbags.
Right.
But,
It's always a decent game.
It's a 50-50 split here, obviously. Obviously, Naz and Rupert have got an agenda.
Agenda?
Me and Jimmy are
We're bringing
completely
the
honest.
truth, the
We're
voice,
honest.
the
We're
voice
honest.
of the podcast.
And if anyone from Phoenix
you can't
wants
buy us
to
out.
object, then me and Jimmy are here.
Yeah, they love
12
you.
Nassau Lane.
What I will say about Phoenix, right? You play some teams in the league, and they will just want to kick you, right? They don't want to play too much football. In fairness to Phoenix, they will try and kick you. However, they will try and play footy as well. So it's quite nice to play them because they'll stick it on you, but they also do want to try and play footy. So I got a bit of time for that, fair play.
But the only thing I find weird is that they play their first team in the Resies to try and win the league. And their first team seemingly get battered every week. Which is weird.
Someone should come on and try and address that.
Someone said that happened last year.
We don't know.
They all dropped down at the same time.
Well, that's the thing. That's the only way we can see it, right? Because you see the players that play in different teams and stuff.
It's sad.
Come on, prove us wrong.
Yeah, leave a comment. Yeah. Let us know what the situation is.
It's very sad. It's very, very sad. But anyway, that's my opinion.
Well, if you're from Phoenix and you object to that, please email us at gorillas.on.air@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Before we do go off the Phoenix point, I mean, we did play them in one of the best games in the whole of ESFA and probably many people have ever seen.
I know it's the best game I think I've seen, like in terms of madness.
And whoever the skipper is, I don't know his name, but he's played centre mid for them. Like he, first person, obviously congratulate us. Like that's the sort of thing that I'm talking about. They will put it on you, but they do want to try and play footy as well. So
he did miss.
I
a
got
penalty,
time for that. He did miss a penalty. He did, and then I don't know what happened. Someone
and then we won the double. That's what happened.
We won the double. We won the league and the playoff double. We had a pen comp.
Pen comp.
We had a
we had a pen comp. We had a pen comp, and then we won the soccer trophy.
Look at him trying to fade off his soccer thing. Listen, what happened is we had a penalty shootout after 90 minutes, 120 minutes. Yeah, something happened. Someone stepped up, put the winning goal away. Whatever is what it is. Whatever. We can talk about it. We can talk about it if you want. Whatever.
Yeah. Great game, 5-5. I think we mentioned it on a previous pod.
Yeah.
But one of the best live games. And as you said, at the end of the game, they were respectful. And that's what that's what it's all about. At the end of the game, you shake the opposition's hand, no matter what you said during the game.
Millsy wasn't though, was he?
He was in the stand.
Was he respectful though?
No, that's when he threw a bottle. Do you remember this?
Yeah. I mean, it might be worth bringing up. To be fair, we could have a little like segment, Millsy Memoirs, where it's just like a little skit about Millsy.
We wouldn't be able to say half the stuff.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I don't know if we mentioned it in the game where the first podcast where we brought it up before, but when someone in the crowd just like lifted the baby up and started singing the Song of Lions, Lion King, and both crowds were just like in stitches. Like that's one of the funniest things that you'll ever see.
It was chaos in the crowd. It was absolute chaos. It was kicking off.
To be fair, like someone who's playing in the game, like for me, it's like my favourite game I've ever played by a mile, because you had all of the Gorilla Boys in the stand that was like on the side.
So it's a tiny stand. It's probably got 100 seats one side, 100 seats the other,
and the Gorilla
separated by just a single staircase. And obviously, as the game went on and as the beers flowed, it got a bit heated.
Rowdy.
Feisty one.
Someone, I'm not going to say which side, threw a beer. There was a kid on that side, and then it got a bit tasty.
It didn't hit the kid.
Didn't hit the kid, unfortunately. But
it was bang out of order from Mills.
We can first of all purely
apologise.
Apologise, like wholeheartedly apologise
unreservedly
for that.
Yeah. He didn't see the kid.
Distance ourselves from anything like that. We're laughing because like of the situation that occurred and Millsy and just the general crack that occurred at the stand. Like again, just bringing the whole thing about without.
But
imagine,
but the thing is now is like, as someone who's playing that game, that sort of atmosphere was unbelievable to witness, right? And we didn't have no idea what was going on in the stand at all, but we went to penalties and we won, and the atmosphere was unbelievable. Like the amount of people that was there watching, to see that and to see how many, and obviously before that as well, the third team had just won their grand final as well.
Yeah.
Which, shout out to the third team this year
100%.
as well. Do you know what I mean? Like we haven't really spoke about them this year, but
we should get Chris on, shouldn't we?
Yeah, we'll get a few of the third team lads on who have been unbelievable this year. Like they've pumped a lot of money into the sponsors. They've been involved. They've done everything they should do as a team below the first and reserve grade. And Chris Champion, he manages the third team. Shithouse.
Not mates, are you? It don't work for you, does it?
I built it up well.
Yeah, lovely bit of praise, and then just sandwiched with a little bit of spite.
But it fits really nicely into the whole volunteer week conversation that we're having. That there wasn't a third team before. There was, and then we didn't have a third team last year, and now there's a third team purely on the basis of people like Chris have come in and got help with other people and dragged it by the scruff.
The amount of hours champion Chris has put in. Like I think from what I'm aware, the third team manager stepped down in the last couple of weeks, and Chris has taken on the whole responsibility to do that on top of your work. Fair play.
Yeah, and to do things like chasing up regos, getting people
exactly.
And the over 35s as well. Pod just kicked on with that. They've got 11 players.
And
in the squad.
As we mentioned, this is volunteer week. This is all about the unsung heroes. These are the people who go out and put time into clubs with not much feedback in response, or not much praise, and they should get a lot of praise for what they do. We have our own chairman in the club, a man called Podge. Podge is a man we've talked to a few times before, and he's an absolute legend. He's been chairman for, I think he's been 6-7 years. Absolute stalwart of the club. Podge, shout out to you. You're an absolute legend. Anyway, but getting back onto the volunteers we've had in the past, and we have presently, I think we've all known legends of clubs, amateur clubs that we all played for back in the day. I've certainly played for some teams which have old stalwarts, blokes usually in their 70s, who've been around for years and years. They're part of the furniture, and they get the club running. And without them, it would not happen. I think a few of us, Jimmy, you mentioned that you had a legend you wanted to shout out about and discuss.
Yeah, not so much a player, but someone that's definitely instilled a bit of motivation to give back in terms of time, your own time. A few people at Ducky Youth coming through, John Fenton, and all the people there. But one man in particular, Sean Higgins, absolute legend, love you.
Higgo.
Big Higgs.
Higgo.
He's my mate's dad, so I mean I can't slag him off too much.
Is that how you got on the side, isn't it?
Yeah, well, he still left me out. But he was there since I was probably 12 when I joined his first team. But the amount of hours he put in every week, and he took us right through to. I played for Sean until I was probably 20. Probably a bit after that, maybe a bit after uni as well. Oh yeah, I did actually at Uppermill, until there was a mutiny at Uppermill and he got kicked out. But yeah, no,
that's an episode in itself.
Yeah,
the Great Mutiny of Uppermill.
Yeah, exactly. But just a shout out to Sean in particular, because they have a big impact on you. You don't realise at the time, but he's grown into a friend as in his own right, apart from his son Dan, who's obviously one of my best mates, but
especially when you're
legend.
young as well. Like when you're young and you like grow up and someone's like sacrificing their time to bring up like basically kids football really. Like, how old were you when that happened? Like when that happened, when you were playing.
When that happened.
That was
when Sean
Jesus
happened.
Christ, that was really, really aggressive, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I apologise.
Nah, so I started playing for
got a doll
Sean
here.
when I was 12, but I think obviously they go on a journey with you, because I think he started out just running his son's team because his son was playing, but he did all his badges and he turned into an absolute class coach, went on to coach Mosley semi-pro teams, and he's been at some decent clubs and stuff like that. But yeah, don't know what else to say.
Yeah, but that's unreal though. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's what it's all about.
You got someone you want to give a
To be
shout
fair,
out
like
to?
obviously my old man was involved when I was younger, who was like unbelievable, like got me into football when I was younger. But I feel like it's a Gorillas podcast, it'd be good to mention Kieran Murphy. Like Kieran Murphy was El Prez. He was the man that sort of not like brought Gorillas together, but he sort of was the first person who brought money into the club. He had so many connections in Sydney, and to be fair, he was incredible. Like, do you know what I mean? He sort of like he worked in marketing, but the majority of his time was spent on Glee Gorillas, and it's quite funny because. When I was playing, I think I was playing first team at the time, and I was waiting for the game, and Lloyd Owusu turned up. No spoiler. Could be a bit of a spoiler for one of the future episodes with Big Lloyd, Uncle Lloyd. Lloyd Owusu turned up, obviously Brentford Hall of Fame, Reading, Charlton. He's played for a few clubs, and he came and watched Gorillas and was on about fucking taking over, but obviously the only reason he didn't take over was because there was no like kid set up basically. So like Kieran had these connections which were ridiculous, but he sort of took Gorillas from like a pretty much a Sunday league club to a club that were in SFA. Like it's not easy to get, and I think we touched on this earlier with Ramwick, and I think he said it in his interview. It's not easy to get into SFA. It's so hard to get into that.
It's real clicky.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and Kieran was the man that sort of got Glebe into that position, and yeah, fair play to him, like incredible.
Yeah, Richard definitely mentions it in his interview, and I don't mean clicky. I mean there's a lot of they don't just want any team in there, right? You've got to prove why you should be a part of ESFA because it's such a good standard, and it's true you have to be at a certain standard to get in the league, right? And I think Richard touches upon it with Randwick and with us as well. I mean, I didn't meet what's he called?
Sean.
What's he called?
Kieran.
Sorry, Kieran.
Obviously had a big impression.
For the listeners,
No, I didn't know Kieran.
Naz came in later than when Kieran actually was playing.
I didn't know Kieran. I didn't meet him. But also, I think Richard mentions Adam as well. Adam
Burnsy, yeah.
Burnsy, is it Burnsy? I didn't meet them both, but I know from just speaking to people around the club, being here longer than me, that they were massive and like integral to the club even being where it is. But yeah, that's touching upon Gorilla side for me, going back to like grassroots and volunteering and stuff. Yeah, like played for Wallsend, which was pretty well ran. It didn't have a lot of money, but it was ran in terms of like had a lot of volunteers, and the standard of the club was really big, so they had to have that. But taking it back before that, my brother was playing for like a club team. Just it was in the area that we went to school, and I ended up like going to training one day, and there was just one guy who was about in his 60s, like Harry Harrison, who used to like run all the teams, and like.
Did he realise you were shit as well?
Nah, he loved me straight. To be honest, I wouldn't have played footy if it wasn't for my brother and for him, right? But stupid things like you turn up and you used to have to pay your subs every week, right? Like £2 or whatever to train on all that shit. But like people used to turn up. He managed like 4 teams by himself. He was like in his 60s, and people used to turn up. He used to have a little like plastic pot when you turned up to training, and people used to just take like 40 pence and like shake it around when they put it in the tub, right? So
it's actually quite
pocket.
interesting to hear like what it's like up north. Like
it's grim. It's grim. No,
we have 40 pence in a jug.
That's not me. That's
got to pay for the whole kit.
It's grim up north.
That's not me. I used to pay subs every week. But what I'm saying is,
don't now.
It goes back to the volunteers thing, right? Like that's coming out of his pocket. Like God rest his soul. Like my brother went to his funeral. He passed away like a few years ago. My brother was really close with him because like he brought him to the club, and then he brought me to the club, but he managed a club in our school area where like the net covered so wide because everyone at the school played there, everyone in the area. That's where like so
I was the go-to place to play.
Yeah, 100%. That's where you hung out on a Friday because training was always on a Friday, right? So it's like when you young and
get
like
the kids off the streets.
Yeah, just straight up it was like that, right? I was best man at a wedding back home. He's like my best mate. I met him at that club, you know, like when we were like 10 years old, and like we're still best mates now. And that's the sort of thing, you know, without him there doing all that, running it on his own, like what am I doing on a Friday, exactly. You know?
The networks that they build unintentionally become your, like, all of the lads that we played for or played together, all best mates now. So it's mad. It is mad. Yeah,
I've got one. It's a team I used to play for in Jersey. A team called Saint One. Shout out to any Jersey boys listening. But Saint One.
Special one.
Yeah, special one. But again, an amateur club run by volunteers
with loads of cash.
Well, actually, no. It was like
no subs.
It was like a farmers. It was like surrounded. That's like a farmers club. Like not actually, but it was like surrounded by. It's quite rural, right? So this old guy, Tommy Acorn, his name was. He'd been part of the club for years. Honestly, I think he'd been chairman for 30, 40 years. I'll never forget this. At our end of season once, he stood up in front of everyone, and it was 2014, so it was 100 years since the beginning of the First World War. I didn't know this, but on the clubhouse, there was a roll of honour of ex-players, because the club had started at that time, who'd served in the First World War and died. And so he actually went to their graves in France, and he visited the graves of people who played for our club and died.
That's mad, isn't it?
Which is just, and that is again more than football. It's about what the club means to certain people, and
it's community.
Yeah.
But you got paid out all right in Jersey.
Disgusting.
No, it's bad.
Disgusting. But also, I feel like everyone's got someone they want to bring up, right? And everyone's give an example. The one thing that I think we can all agree upon, like, my parents never really come to footy and see me play, right? But what I found at footy was that... Go on. What you got to say? Go on.
No, fine.
What the point is, though, that what was amazing to see at footy was the amount that the parents also put into it as well, right? Like, volunteers, again, who or just sort of thrust into the role about like, right, you need to go and organise this thing and that thing, and like they just took it upon themselves to be like, and it was like when you're at that age, like between 8 and 15 and stuff, it's all down to the parents really, and then a few volunteers, and that's a massive shout out as well, because like the players' parents who were really involved, so, like, were massively involved.
The manager's wife collecting the fees, like they don't want to be there. the women definitely. Not to touch on that subject, but most of the women do not want to be there. But freezing on a Saturday morning,
they run the canteen
in Manchester, freezing. My mum used to hate it. That's probably why I was late all the time. But she used to be there all the time watching. My dad used to help out with the training.
Literally on that note, like when I played kids football, obviously when you go from like, is it 7-a-side to 11-a-side? Is it 7? I can't really remember. Is it 7-a-side? I think
we'll go with that.
We'll go with that. And there was a girl called Becky Jane who was just like unbelievable.
Becky's mum.
Yeah, it's got it going on.
Anyway,
mate, honestly, like when I played kids football, she was like so fucking good. And I always remember this because I played against Millsy, like back home. I played against Millsy, and we went to 11-a-side. And we had Becky on our team, and literally we were one of the only teams that had a girl in our team at that level of football. Like went to 11-a-side, and Becky turned up, and they were laughing at her. It's like, oh fucking hell, you got a girl on your team, and literally, I'm not even joking. First 5 minutes, she's picked the ball up, beat 2 players, and just fucking smashed it top corner. After them laughing at her, and then eventually she's playing at Liverpool now. Playing at Liverpool, England, like literally, like she's playing top level football, and it goes to show. Do you know what I mean? You've like when you're young as well, like you laugh at that sort of shit, and she's gone straight to the top, and Millsy was crying.
Millsy was crying.
Like genuinely,
still has nightmares while he's driving, flying a plane.
Fuck's sake!
Did we ever get touched back on why Millsy's sister is called Lorne? Because I think there was you've got to touch back on this.
Yeah, so Millsy wasn't happy about it. He's
or context is his dad runs is he a gardener or
so I've pulled this out my arse, but like he's come back like, why are you chatting shit on this podcast? She's called Lorna because of the Isle of Lorne in Scotland. But, I've Googled this place and I'm not sure it's true. I'm not sure it's an actual real place. So, Millsy, if you're listening, I still believe it's because he's obsessed with lawns.
She was conceived on the lawn.
Well, some beautiful stories there around volunteers. And just to finish on that subject, I actually spoke to Steve Lawrence, who is the technical director at Pagewood Botany FC. This week was an important week for Pagewood because it marked a year since George Lundy passed away, and George was a important volunteer for the club. I think he was perhaps chairman for years and years, did everything behind the scenes, and so I spoke to Steve to hear a little bit about George's life and what it was like to be a volunteer. Let's hear what he had to say.
So can you tell us a bit more about what George did for the club and the impact he had?
George done, as I always call him now, I've always called him anyway, as Mr. Pagewood. George done everything possible for the club, and I mean everything. He was what you call a very, very active president. One of his mottos was kids first, second and third. Everything was about the kids. He didn't really bother too much. Not that he didn't bother too much about the seniors, because I coached for 6 years. I also coached the first grade at Pagewood, and George never missed a game. He was there every week. But on a Saturday morning, the park, he would be at the park from the start to the end of the day every week, watching the kids play, loving watching the kids play. He had granddaughters that played, and now he's got, which he'll miss now, is his grandson is playing. One of his grandsons is playing. He set up a few years ago. He set up football at the park where he took the kids out of Esfa, because he didn't think Esfa was doing enough for him, and set up his own football at the park, which was huge. I mean, when I first went to Pagewood and I took my older son to Pagewood, on a Saturday morning, the park was absolutely packed with kids. Absolutely packed. And it was just football all day until it was time to put the first grade on, or the juniors would come on. So that was brilliant for years. And then we went back into ESFA. Well, George didn't have anything to do with that. His hands were tied. And we ended up going back into ESFA. And yeah, it's not really been the same since, but we're working with it. And like I said, it was always kids, first, second and third. He used to, like, sponsorship money. If we got good sponsorship money, George always wanted to spend it on the kids. It was never spent on what we would call, like, some clubs would keep it and use it on the seniors. It was always about giving back to the kids at the club. So, like, you know, one of these things was we're now with our 5, 6s, I think it's our 5, 6s and 7s, we only charge them the $100 voucher. Charge him no more. If George had his way, it would be free.
Yeah,
it would be absolutely free for those age groups, and that's the kind of man he always was. He, you know, it's sat with George many a time over the last years, and just had coffee, and it was always, our talk was always about football for hours on end. He just wanted to give. Charities outside the club, as in like Wingap. One of our counsellors, Christina Curry, it's opened up in the last couple of years. She opened up a women's shelter. George has done nothing but give to those charities. Everything he does, it was about giving. It was always about giving to whoever he could give to. So it was, like Saturday night, just proved what a character and a big man he was, because the amount of politicians that were there that have met George, spoken to George, and just, everybody's just, if you met him, you'd know exactly what I'm talking about. He was an unbelievable character.
Yeah, so on Saturday, did you play Phoenix? Was it a trophy in his memory? Is that right?
Yeah, it was the first George Lundy Charity Shield, we've called it.
Fantastic.
And we named it Charity Shield because of all the things that he'd done for different charities along the way.
Yeah. And like you said, it's great that he had effect on so many people's lives, you know, around the club, and showed what a big character he was. So yeah,
he was huge. Like, there's boys at the club now that are playing in the first grade that have been at the club since they were like 6 years old. And George has been a massive part of their life. George used to walk around the ground and he'd be talking to people about kids that he's known for however long that have turned to adults. He'd be asking them, what you're doing, jobs, this, you want a reference, do you need any help, looking for work, blah, blah. I know this person that can help you, that person that can help you. He took an interest in everybody. Everybody that was at Pagewood, he took an interest in, which was, look, for me, coming into the club was just, and you look at what he done, it was huge. Just huge the way he was with everybody. So yeah, big loss for the club, big loss for Pagewood, big loss for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing that. If George is anything like half the man you've said, he sounds like a great guy. And shame I didn't get to meet him. But thanks for sharing your story, and I hope more people get inspired by what George did and continue to run a successful club such as Pagewood.
Thanks a lot, Rupert.
No worries. Cheers, mate.
So a big thanks to Steve there for telling us about the life of George. It's been great to hear about all the stories from volunteers, from our club, from other clubs, from the stories we've got. Just want to say a big thanks to everyone. Naz, it's been an absolute pleasure this week.
Yeah, cheers, mate. It has.
Bit of a left field episode, doesn't it?
We'll be better prepared next episode and a bit more planned. But I've enjoyed it.
I don't know about that. So next week's episode's Thursday, and Europa League final is Thursday morning, 5 a.m.
Beautiful.
Me and Tucky have got the day off.
Oh, it's gonna be chaos.
And we've got Mitch Williams on. So
what time does the night game kick off?
5 a.m.
Yeah, so me and Jimmy are going to be in all sorts of bother.
Alright, so it could be an entertaining Could be an absolute shit tip, but
like this week's episode.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll still be here. That's the main thing. The main thing is we'll be here.
Look, we don't do this for you. We do this for us, all right? So if you'd enjoyed it, wonderful. If you haven't,
I feel like
we're going to be here next
episode.
week. So
Our best episode. Could be. We never know. We're up to 750 downloads.
yeah, huge milestone.
Yeah.
I'm expecting
It's a milestone.
Manscaped and that them beers that sponsors all the other podcasts to get in touch.
Well,
soon.
we've not touched on the rocks this week, to be fair. Thanks for... we're running out of the Alexandria beers at the moment, so...
Top us up
for the next couple of episodes. We'll be down to pick up next Thursday after we've been to the Europa League final.
And another shout out to Pulse Electrical and Communications. Speak to Kyle for a quote for all your electrical needs. Thanks, Kyle.
I haven't got one prepared this week. Let me think real quick. Shit.
He's sparkier. He's a better spark than you'd think speaking to him.
Ooh.
Oh, it's gone deaf.
You stick to the poems. It's get your quote in time because it's a real buzzer beater.
Okay, again, it's not gone down well, but
we'll go with it.
Good night from. No, I've got nothing.
Yeah, you go.
I've got nothing.
No, don't shy away. Put yourself in the firing line.
Kyle Crick, he'll be there quick.
Decent. Not even anything about electrics. I like it. That'll do.
Rhymes all day.
Yeah, stick to what you know. I like it. Yeah.
Again, big thanks. Naz, cheers for coming on.
Cheers, mate.
Tucky, cheers. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, guys.
And Jimmy, thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to... It's been a struggle, but we got through it. You've been listening to Who Wants to Be a Grill on Air. Join us again next week.
Gonna win the league.
1, 2, 3, go.
Viva Kembalo. Viva Kembalo. He's got the biggest meat in Coronation Street. Viva Kembalo.